Hey guys, what's going on? James here, and in this video today, we're going to be talking about the top 10 Tampa Bay Buccaneers from the 2020-2021 season for this team. Now, these are my own thoughts and opinions. If you guys want to make your own list, hey, let me know down in the comment section below who you feel are the top 10 Tampa Bay Buccaneers from this past season. Now, when making this list, I thought about people who were most impactful for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers throughout the regular season and in the playoffs as well. And there are plenty of players who I could list as honorable mentions. Some came very close to being on this list, but I'm not going to mention them now because if I did, that would kind of spoil the surprise of who is actually on this list. So I will save the honorable mentions for later on in this video. But let's get started with number 10 on my list, and that is hashtag the number one corner for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense, that being Carlton Davis, who finished the regular season with 14 games started, 4 interceptions, 18 passes defended, 68 total tackles, and 3 tackles for loss. In the playoffs, he had one heck of a time. He really did phenomenal. He did good versus the Washington football team. He locked down Michael Thomas in the divisional round in the NFC Championship game. He made Davante Adams very frustrated throughout the game. And then finally in the Super Bowl, he had 4 targets thrown his way, which resulted in 2 receptions for 14 yards. Carlton Davis, in my opinion, proved that he was and is a star for this Buccaneers defense. And it's not just because I'm biased and said at the beginning of the season that I was putting my stamp of approval on Carlton Davis and I thought that he was going to be a star. That's not that reason at all. I really do feel Carlton Davis is a good cornerback, and he will continue to be a good cornerback for hopefully many, many years for this Buccaneers defense. But moving on to number 9, we have Jason Pierre-Paul, the Buccaneers starting outside linebacker, who finished this regular season with 16 games started, 2 interceptions, 6 passes defended, 4 forced fumbles, 2 fumbles recovered, 9.5 sacks, 55 total tackles, 14 quarterback hits, and 7 tackles for loss. Jason Pierre-Paul is great. I mean, he was so good this year as a pass rusher. He made plays both in the regular season and in the playoffs as well. He got after Aaron Rodgers multiple times. He really did help get after Patrick Mahomes. And he also, I believe, got a sack on Drew Brees during that divisional round as well. So every game in the playoffs, he made an impact, and he had a very good regular season as well. He is a very solid pass rusher. He is under contract for next season as well. After that, his future is definitely much a question mark as to whether he may want to sign another extension with the Bucs. That's a definite possibility. He may retire. There's a lot of different directions that JPP could go, but so far in this immediate moment, he has been such a good decision by Jason Licht to trade for him just a couple of seasons ago. It has panned out year after year, and this season was no different. He was very solid as a pass rusher. He was, in terms of stats, the best pass rusher for this Tampa Bay Buccaneers team. Moving on to number 8. This one may be a little bit controversial, but let me explain myself. It's Buccaneers starting defensive tackle Vita Vea, who finished the regular season only playing and starting in 5 games as he had sustained a fractured ankle, I believe, late October during the Chicago Bears game. He only finished the year with 2 sacks being the most notable stat that he had. The reason I have Vita Vea here is mainly because of the impact when he was not playing on this team. If he had finished and played the entire season, he would have been basically a very high, he would have been one of the best defensive tackles in the entire NFL at this point, if not the best. He already is, but he would have solidified that spot even more, and the impact comes from when he wasn't on the field. You could tell that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers missed Vita Vea immensely, and he had his heroic return in the playoffs, and it paid off in dividends immediately in that NFC Championship game. He played, I believe, 33 snaps, and the pass rush was electric. And to be honest, they had some, stretches of down weeks and lackluster play without Vita Vea being out there. As soon as he comes back, he continues to help out with the dominance, clogging up that middle with the run defense, and helping out the pass rush as well. That's where I feel Vita Vea's impact comes into play, where you could really tell when he was missing, and when he came back, everything just immediately got so much better for a lot of different reasons. So I feel he did have an impact for this team, both whenever he was missing, it was very apparent that they missed him, and then when he made his triumphant return, it was very apparent that they were very happy to have him back. So maybe a little bit controversial. Let me know what you think about that pick down in the comments section below, but Vita Vea at number 8. But moving on to number 7, we have Buccaneers starting tight end Rob Gronkowski, who finished this year with 16 games started, 45 receptions, 623 receiving yards, and 7 receiving touchdowns, and as well as the phenomenal job that he did blocking throughout the regular season and in the playoffs as well, helping out both in pass blocking and especially in run blocking. He was phenomenal. He played a full season this year, which a lot of people did not expect that to happen. He showed flashes of prime Gronk, which I thought was awesome to see. He still has the insane catching ability, the insane just physical traits that we have seen from Rob Gronkowski in years past, and he added another dimension to this offense with his blocking ability. I mean, he was phenomenal in a lot of different ways. He is the perfect tight end, I think, for a Bruce Arians offense. I fully believe that 100%. He did such a wonderful job helping both out as a receiver and in the run game as well. He was great, point blank. I'm very happy he's on this team, and I'm very happy with the contribution that he made throughout the Tampa Bay Buccaneers offense this season. Moving on to number 6, we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers number 1 wide receiver Mike Evans, who finished this year with 16 games played / started, 70 receptions, 1,006 receiving yards, and 13 touchdowns. Some people may put Mike Evans a little bit higher up on this list, but I feel pretty solid with him at number 6. I mean, Mike Evans continues to be Mike Evans. We all know this. He is just a beast of a wide receiver. One of the best wide receivers in the NFL. There is no debate about that. He continued his dominance this season. Even with Tom Brady spreading the ball around a little bit more, Mike Evans still got his, so I absolutely love that. And it was great. He broke a lot of records. He continues to just break records and make history for himself, and he had a pretty large impact throughout the playoffs as well at certain situations, just drawing penalties, getting touchdowns when he needed to. He really did a great job. Again, 70 receptions, 1,006 receiving yards, and 13 receiving touchdowns. That's no joke of a season, especially those 13 touchdowns. He really did a phenomenal job, and I'm very happy to have him as our number 1 wide receiver. And yeah, he's just an overall great dude. He's one of my favorite players, if not maybe my favorite player on this team. Moving on to number 5. I'm, kind of cheating the system here a little bit, but let me explain myself yet again. I have the entirety of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers offensive line. I'm talking about Donovan Smith, Ali Marpet, Ryan Jensen, Alex Kappa, Aaron Stinney, and Tristan Wirfs. They only allowed 21 sacks on Tom Brady throughout the regular season. They did such a good job this year in pass protection, and they even improved their run protection a little bit as well. Ronald Jones almost had a 1,000-yard season rushing the ball if he wouldn't have sustained some injuries along the way. But this offensive line did very good. Ali Marpet played like one of the better guards in the entire NFL. Ryan Jensen played like one of the better centers in the entire NFL. I know some people have been critical of Jensen. I still think he's one of the best centers in the NFL. Alex Kappa, he did great until he sustained his injury, and then Aaron Stinney blew pretty much everybody's mind filling in for him and played a very high caliber of starting guard play. Those two competing against each other is going to be amazing. You got to be happy for both those guys and just the healthy competition that they are going to have. Tristan Wirfs played like one of the best tackles, period, in the entire NFL throughout this season. They don't give Offensive Rookie of the Year to offensive linemen, but if they were, heavily considered, or at least considered at all for that trophy, I mean, Tristan Wirfs probably would have gotten that award. He was that good. He was one of the best tackles, period, this year. And then even Donovan Smith, he had a rough first half of the year, but that second half of the season and that playoff run as well, he really did pick up his play and proved a lot of doubters, myself included, wrong. I will go ahead and admit where I'm wrong there. Throughout the second half of this season and throughout the playoffs, Donovan Smith played some pretty darn good football. So I will go ahead and admit that I was wrong there. But this offensive line did one heck of a job protecting Tom Brady and opening up holes in the run game, and I'm excited to see all these guys return next year as they are all under contract for next season as well. Number 4, this one, I don't think is that controversial. I think he is perfect right where he is. It is Buccaneers kicker Ryan Succop. And to normal fans, it may say, why do you have a kicker at number 4? They're the kicker. But to Bucs fans, the season that Ryan Succop had was like a godsend. I mean, literally, Ryan Succop, 28 for 31, 90.3% on his field goal attempt, and then 52 for 57, 91.2% on his extra point attempts. This is the best season a Tampa Bay Buccaneers kicker has had, possibly all time. I mean, it was amazing. I want Ryan Succop to be on a 10-year deal if he's going to continue to play like this. It felt amazing, and part of that may be the extra confidence with Tom Brady being his quarterback, but he played so good. After 13 years with 13 different kickers, we were due to finally hit on a kicker, and we finally did it with Ryan Succop. Now, no disrespect to all of the former kickers that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have had, but Ryan Succop, he probably did. I'll even say that he probably did have the best season for a kicker in Tampa Bay Buccaneers franchise history, and I really want him back on this team if he's going to continue to play like this. So Ryan Succop, good freaking job, man. You deserve this number 4 spot because you saved us from the pit of misery that has been the past 13 years with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers kicking problems. So again, thank you, Ryan Succop. Number 3 on this list is starting Tampa Bay Buccaneers middle linebacker Lavonte David, who finished this year starting 16 games in the regular season. He also had 1 interception, 6 passes defended, 3 forced fumbles, 2 fumbles recovered, 1.5 sacks, 117 total tackles, 12 tackles for loss, and 3 quarterback hits. Not much in terms of pass rushing ability from Lavonte David, but he was still phenomenal in run defense and in pass coverage as well. He's one of the best linebackers in the game. I think he's going to retire a Tampa Bay Buccaneer. I am confident that some deal will get done for him to remain in Tampa Bay, and he just continued to be Lavonte David. Now, he was a little bit overshadowed by other members of this Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense, and that is unfortunate, but with the Super Bowl win, with the great playoff run he had as well, he is starting to get more recognition, and hopefully next season he'll finally get some more accolades that he does rightfully deserve because he's the best. I mean, he really is. He's been the best Tampa Bay Buccaneer that the team has had in such a long time, and he really is phenomenal, and he's the longest tenured Buck on this team. He finally got his Super Bowl, and I could not be happier for Lavonte David. I'm so proud of him, and I'm so happy for him. He deserved this one so freaking much. Number 2 on this list is also starting middle linebacker for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, that being Devin White. He finished this year with 15 games started in the regular season, 4 passes defended, 1 forced fumble, 1 fumble recovery, 9 sacks, 140 tackles, 15 tackles for loss, and 16 quarterback hits. I mean, Devin White did it all this year. I feel like he improved in pass coverage a little bit. He was a beast. He was an absolute beast in run defense for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and he was probably the best pass rushing middle linebacker in the entire NFL this year. In fact, not even probably, he was the best pass rushing middle linebacker in this league this year. He did it all. He really did. He probably should have been considered more for Defensive Player of the Year. He may get that consideration more last year, or next year, rather, if he puts up similar stats to what he did this year, because he's phenomenal. He really is. He's a great leader on this team. Him and Lavonte David are the two captains of that defense, and they will continue to be captains of that defense for hopefully many years to come. He's great. He is phenomenal. He's one of the best linebackers in the entire NFL already, and it's only year 2 for him. And, dude, he's just such a beast. He's been compared to guys like Ray Lewis, which I think is a great comparison. And overall, I am so proud and so happy for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers for having a player like Devin White on this team. He's so good. I can't even state enough how good he is. But before we get to number 1, and to be honest, you guys all know who number 1 is, let's get to some honorable mentions. Shaq Barrett, he had a great year as a pass rusher. He was almost going to be on this list. I definitely did want to put him on this list, especially for that playoff run he had in the NFC Championship game and in that Super Bowl as well. He was just edged out a little bit by a couple of guys. Antonio Brown had a very good second half for this Tampa Bay Buccaneers season. Playoff Lenny, Leonard Fournette, he was another guy that we considered putting in because of that playoff run, but unfortunately he just didn't have enough juice in the regular season. Ronald Jones was actually pretty much the opposite, had a great regular season, but didn't have enough juice in the playoffs due to injuries, unfortunately. Antoine Winfield Jr., who had a very, very solid year, but unfortunately there was just too much talent here in the top 10. Chris Godwin, Cameron Brate, Scotty Miller, Bradley Pinion, who, shout out to Bradley Pinion, he actually had a pretty decent year. And Ndamukong Suh, Will Golston, and Sean Murphy Bunting. Those guys are all the honorable mentions, guys who were considered for this list, but for one reason or another just unfortunately didn't make the cut. But at number 1, it's no surprise, it's Buccaneers starting quarterback Tom Brady, who finished this year with 16 games started in the regular season, 401 completions on 610 attempts. That was good for a 65.7 completion percentage, 4,633 passing yards, 40 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, 3 rushing touchdowns, an 11-5 record in the regular season, a wild card playoff berth for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and he brought them all the way and won them a Lombardi trophy. He's the GOAT. I mean, he's the NFL GOAT. We all know this. He's getting very much more consideration for the sports GOAT now, which makes sense to me 100%. And he was one of the main reasons that this franchise turned around. Absolutely. He's probably the dominant reason as to, not even probably, he is the dominant reason as to why this franchise was turned around in one calendar year. It's because he's the GOAT. He's amazing. He made every single person on this team better, from player to coaching personnel to probably the janitors. I mean, everybody wants to be better when they're around Tom Brady, and it makes sense due to just the legacy that he has. He was absolutely phenomenal this year. He did great in the playoffs as well, for the most part, minus a couple of interceptions in that Green Bay Packers NFC Championship game. And he did what he needed to do week in and week out, and he took care of the football, and he didn't make many mistakes, if any mistakes, really, for the most part, and he guided this team to a Super Bowl championship with great stats at that, and you couldn't ask for much more from the guy, and I'm going to be so freaking excited to have him on this team next year. But guys, with that being said, that is going to be it for this video. Let me know your thoughts about my list down in the comment section below. There may be some controversial points there with Vita Vea at number 8, Ryan Suckup at number 4, but leave me your thoughts and leave me your lists down in the comment section below. Who did you feel were the top 10 Tampa Bay Buccaneers for the 2020-2021 season? Leave me your thoughts. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Hope you all enjoyed, and I will see you all in the next video or the next live stream. But until then, and as always, guys, goodbye for now, and go Bucs.